All right, hey everybody, it's Eric from Barrel Hatchet, and this is our first episode of our video podcast series called Hatchet Cast. So the way this is going to work is myself, the host, Eric, and a guest will be having a conversation in the background. They're going to be micro length, so about 35 minutes to 40 minutes long, and we will have video that you guys can watch while you listen to a conversation about a specific topic. And today's topic is actually going to be about Recce rifles versus SPR or special purpose rifles. I've got Roy here from AAA Gun and Ammo as my guest, and we're just going to have a conversation about it. So welcome, Roy.
Thank you.
And so we've been toying around the idea about Recce rifles with SPRs for a while, and I think it's been, how long have we been trying to figure out how to do this one?
Well over a year. Yeah, well over a year.
It's been a while, and I think it's probably an obsession, an unhealthy obsession with Mark 12s, but
it definitely falls back into Mark 12 mod zeros.
Yeah,
it's a very unhealthy obsession. I lay in bed all night, looking forward to looking at a Mark 12.
I'm like, oh yeah, we'll send them on Instagram to each other, just like, oh, look at this one, this is a great one. So a disclaimer: the Recce rifle builds we're gonna be talking about, it's not specific like this is what a Recce rifle looks like. A Recce rifle can be whatever you want. I mean, in Vietnam they were 10.3 or 10.5 and 11.5 Car 15. So I mean, it could be whatever you want, whatever is you would use on a recon mission, whatever. What we're talking about is just a general purpose term that is used today to describe a rifle length from 12.5, 13.7 to about 14.5. Has an LPVO or a zoom type optic or a magnifier, and a little bit longer of a barrel. All the barrels that we did use were from Ballistic Advantage, and so even in our SPR or Special Purpose Rifle barrel was from Ballistic Advantage for the Mark 12 and the Recce rifles that we use. So that's the disclaimer. We're going to go ahead and jump right into what is a Recce rifle. Roy, go.
My definition of a Recce rifle obviously would be pretty much like your typical normal, if you, like we talked about before in the disclaimer there. If you hashtag Recce rifle, what are you going to get? You're probably going to get a 13.7 to 14.5 gun with some type of magnified optic. My Recce rifle, as far as my setup would be, is a 13.7, and I'm running a 1.8 LPVO on it with a dot on top, something that gives me that ability to work close-up stuff and then some magnification to work a little bit more distance with. I look at my Recce rifle as something that I can consistently get hits, generally speaking, pretty solidly out to about 500 yards on what you would say combat effective zones, on a body or on a pig or whatever it may be, on a larger size potential target. Not necessarily as precision shots. So is what I look at a Recce as. Something that I can identify targets with that magnification and still need to put a shot at a little bit more distance than what your typical normal rifle is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, a Recce rifle really could also, you know, it should be something that you would want lightweight, right? If you're going to be reconning an area, you'd want something that'd be a little bit more lightweight but gives you a little bit more tools for observation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's
not too heavy.
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Run a light on mine. That's a very small light, nothing huge or anything like that. Lightweight, very, very simple. No extras, no frills, no nothing extra.
Yeah, and for a kind of going back to the definition, because I guess that is a point of controversy, is like, this is not to say this is a rifle that is built for recon. It is just to describe a certain length and look of a rifle based off of what we see today. So I think for my rifle, I actually had a 13.9 that you built, and it had a ACOG on it with a cram mount from Weapon Outfitters, which kind of raises the ACOG and brings it back, because we all know that ACOG eye relief is terrible. You pretty much have to be kissing your eyeball on the lens to be able to get any good eye relief on it. So the cram actually brings the ACOG up and back towards your face. So that's what I was rocking. I did have an IR and regular white light Surefire Scout, and I could also turn that light off. So if I did accidentally push the pressure pad, it wouldn't negligently discharge that light. So that's what I was running, and we also ran it out to 500 yards. So I mean, here at JTech Ranch is where we shoot, down here in Florida, and I mean, we shoot. How consistently do you think? Pretty.
I mean, weekly. I mean, we're shooting distance and stuff like that. So, I mean, that is something that we do quite often. I mean, do you feel any, as far as running an ACOG versus me running an LPVO on your recce setup, do you feel any hindrance at 500 yards would affect magnification? Like
no,
that?
I mean, no, because we shoot stuff with dots all the time. Correct. Out to 500. So. Yeah.
So, exactly. So, a recce rifle can be whatever you need to get the job done with, obviously, at the end of the day. We chose magnification because we do spend a lot of time at a little bit of distance, and what we identify our rifles as is something that we can be able to see targets at a little bit further distance. I run my LPVO set on 4. Yeah. 4 or 5 all the time. It never turns.
What LPVO?
You ran my rifle for a little while.
Yeah, I did. I liked it a lot. What was the LPVO you were running?
That was the EOTech Voodoo 1-8. So, and it is on a Reptilia Corp. If I could talk there. I think it's like 1.4 height roughly, and then I'm running a dot on top of that, like a Holliston 509T, and that 509T kind of puts it a little over 2 inches, so kind of like old school carry handle height.
Yeah, which I've been loving that more than the 4. Like, I've been getting away from the candid 45 angle mount because it just gives me a more heads up type view. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm going to shoot fast and I have to get quick shots off real quick in a close proximity to me, you know, it's just more natural. I feel like I've been kind of gravitating towards dot on.
I like it a lot, honestly. And when we get into the SPR here in a little bit, I'm thinking about doing that. Yeah, you know, not to jump ahead, but I'm thinking about doing exactly.
Don't put a Chinese diving board.
No, do not buy a Chinese diving board. We have to control Eric every once in a while. we gotta step him back. He gets in a hurry.
I know. I'm just like, man, it looks so. Maybe it'll get the job done. Don't do it, folks. I'm telling you. Which kind of puts us in the SPR range. So, special purpose rifle. What is it? It's a Mark 12.
It's a Mark 12. It's a Mark 12. It's a Mark 12 for sure. Can you do it with other things? Yeah, you definitely can. You could do it with you could do the exact same thing with a 14.5 and throw a little bit higher magnification on it. Yeah. I think the big determination for a special purpose rifle or a DMR would be that ability to identify targets slightly a little bit better with more magnification, or to be able to have that ability to place more precise precision shots. And I think that's kind of what the Mark 12 fits the goal of perfectly, being able to do that. We'll get into barrel length and everything else like that and velocity in a little bit. I mean,
because there are some pretty good differences between the barrels of a say a regular 16-inch mid-length
100%
gas carbine length barrel versus an SPR barrel.
Yep,
there's a difference.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, special purpose rifle. It was built, and it's got this old school, early GWAT type cool to it. Where, I mean, talk a little bit. You know a little bit more about the history than I do in terms.
Yeah, I mean, the Mark 12, obviously, military looking for a rifle that they could engage targets more precisely with at further distances as the battlefield changed, or more precisely, and do it faster versus a bolt gun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you could use a bolt gun as a SPR, special purpose rifle, or as a DMR, but it just allows you to engage targets at a faster rate of fire, getting rounds down range, and then honestly, at the end of the day, still kicking indoors if you needed to. I mean, we've done it. We've played around, not necessarily kicking indoors, but we played around with a lot of close-up barricades and things like that, where we're running that around vehicles, things like that, and moving through with it. So it was a all-purpose special purpose rifle. I mean, it was a rifle, exactly what the definition of it is, to kind of almost do a little bit of everything. Yeah. And that's where you gain into that potential barrel length, what they decided on, that 18-inch or 18.5, to give you that ability to reach out with good terminal velocity, and then still not incredibly too long, where we can maneuver around with it.
Yeah.
So.
And what's cool about the special purpose rifle, specifically the Mark 12 Mod O to 1 series, is they developed a 77 grain bullet. It was actually Black Hills?
Black Hills, yeah.
Black Hills ammunition. Yep. Made what's called the Mark 262. It's a 77 grain bullet, and it was built for that gun, or was the gun built for that bullet?
So basically, the gun was built, and then they needed to find a bullet.
Yeah.
So that would work well in it. Outside of running typical 55 grain or 62 grain, 855 or A1 or anything like that, needed a more precise precision bullet, a bullet that Still carried a good amount of energy, but wouldn't be deflected by wind quite as much. Have a higher BC, per se, if you want to go into all that. That is just, simple terms, is just not going to be affected by things. If I'm engaging at 600 yards, 650 yards, obviously wind is going to come into a massive effect. It's going to push that 55 grain bullet, standard FMJ, XM193 or something like that. It's going to push that bullet all over the place.
Right.
Versus the 77 is going to be a more stable football.
Yeah.
It's going to carry that pass a little bit longer. It's not going to start walking on you. It's not going to start tumbling. It's not going to do all that kind of stuff. So it's just a more precision bullet. And they loaded it pretty hot. We want to get into ballistics right now, or
screw it.
So we can get into ballistics wise, guys. I don't want to bore you with it, but just to throw out some numbers, quick down and dirty. When we were shooting chronoing, what we got out of them, out of Eric's Mark 12 and my Mark 12, we were pretty consistent on our velocities and our dope within a tenth of a mil of each other. On average, we were around that 2750 as far as velocity. To put that into classification, and Eric's 13.9, my 13.7. Zach, which shoots with us a lot out here, he has a 14.5. Ben also has a 14.5. That same round, we were in that 24 to 2,500 feet per second, that same bullet. Mm-hmm. So that goes to show exactly those extra 4 inches, 3.5 to 4 inches of barrel length made a massive amount of difference in velocity. Doesn't sound like a lot, but that's that much more energy downrange, right?
Yeah, and that's also that's where 5.56 really makes its money is
Correct.
Speed, right?
Speed, velocity. Yep.
So
that's what it needs. Obviously every bullet needs speed, but carrying that energy, those are muzzle velocities. So you're obviously losing velocity as it goes down range. That's where its moneymaker is being able to carry that.
And what's crazy is we did the Mark 12 group 77 grain really, really well. So if you're shooting the Mark 12 style,
out of the BA barrels, the ballistic advantage barrels,
it was sub MOA.
Sub MOA easily. If we did our job as far as shooters wise goes, we got half MOA groups.
Yep.
With some of that stuff, we played around with a lot of different loads, not just Black Hills, Mark 262. We played around with some Sierra Match King, a little bit lower on the velocity, the Federal stuff, but man, did it group tight.
It was really tight.
I mean, out of the Federal Gold Medal match, 77 grain, we were only pulling like 2,500 feet velocity out of the 18.5 Mark 12s, but man, half-inch groups.
Yeah.
Easy.
And it was something that the Mark 12 was also designed to be like, I could take, if I ran out of 77 grain or my ammo, I could pull from another buddy and grab his ammo and run it through the Mark 12 and still be able to provide accurate shots. So we tested some of the other stuff, like the 55 grain from MagTech, and we tested some A1, which is like a freaking time machine. I don't even know what magic witchcraft.
A1 has witchcraft behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, A1 is a straight barrel burner.
Yeah.
For any precision rifle guys that are out there listening, it is moving, it is cooking, and when you do hit a target with it,
you could hear it like 400 or 500 yards. You're like, wow, that was loud.
I mean, we chronoed my, we didn't chrono yours, but out of mine, we were like 3180 with A1. And it was just straight cooking. Like, we seen those numbers, and we were like giggling like little schoolgirls.
Yeah, we were like, I think your thing's broken. Yeah, this isn't working.
There's no way we're pulling those kind of velocities, but it was insane.
Yeah, so. It was ridiculous.
Well, we got hits with it, right?
Yeah, no, we definitely actually I think we went up to 800 yards.
800 yards. And we're in Florida, obviously. For those that don't know, so we don't have a whole lot of elevation. We're pretty flat. So.
But a lot of wind.
A lot of wind. Well, you do have a lot of wind. The wind does a lot of weird stuff out here on the ranch.
Yeah.
And that's where we found that the 77 came into play.
Yeah.
Was cutting that wind and staying consistent. 855 A1, great round, hauling butt, but not necessarily cutting that wind as proficient as the 77 grain was. So. Yeah. But we got hits with 55 too, playing around, remember?
Yeah.
I know we got some video footage probably of that where we took consistently 55 out to 600 yards.
600 yards,
600 yards over and over and over and over. So
Now, with that going out at distance, talking about the 13.7 barrel length to 14.5, maybe 12.5.
Yeah.
What were we experiencing? And that's what we shoot mostly. We mostly shoot those lengths of barrels. Sometimes we'll dabble in the 11.5.
We're talking about the Mark 12 so much because we get excited
I know.
about it. So this is going to turn into not a comparison. It's going to turn into me and Eric just talking about Mark 12s all throughout the entire video.
We should just label this the Mark 12 video.
Why we tried to incorporate. It should have been 2 separate videos.
Yeah, pretty much. but we're just,
we're rolling with it.
So 13.7 to 14.5 is what we use mostly. And I want to say... Well, we shoot out to 500 all the time. Sometimes
I would say
go past 5.
out of my 13.7, your 13.9, things like that, you would say we're both probably pretty consistent, pretty happy knowing that we can get hits at 500 yards.
Yeah. Actually, that's pretty much the standard.
Yeah,
even for a 10.3.
Yeah,
it's
the
walk
standard.
out to 5.
Yeah, we can walk out to 5. Out of a 14.5, 13.7 range, let's just say if you want percentages wise goes, we throw 10 shots down range. As long as we do our part, we're probably hitting 8 out of 10, right?
8 out of 10, yeah.
High 80%.
Depending on wins.
Depending on wins, right? 10.5, 11.5, we may drop that percentage down a little bit.
Probably like 6 out of 10, maybe.
Yeah, 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
But we get hits, though, still.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the biggest difference is with that Mark 12 wise goes, let's just say 500 yards. We're going 10 for 10.
Yeah, 10 for 10. And it's easy, and it's in fast succession. I mean, like... as soon as you reset that gun and your eye settles behind the glass again, you're squeezing the trigger off.
What was
again.
it, a couple weeks ago? We were playing around at 600, and I just went 10 for 10.
10 for 10.
10 for 10 at 600.
And the wind was pretty decent, too.
The wind was kicking probably 10, 12 mile an hour with 55 grain.
Yeah.
Full-size IPSC, you know. Put a few on a mini ADAP at 600. But that is where I think the biggest difference is when you're trying to compare the two side by side against each other, right? What distances are you looking for?
Yeah.
If you really are looking to go beyond that 500, the Mark 12 is your moneymaker.
It is.
I mean, it
is.
specifically wins the argument.
What comes where the 13.7, 14.5 come into play is how long do you want to carry that Mark 12?
Yeah.
100%. That's the big one.
It is heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy.
It
is heavy. And so that's another big difference
It's
between
sexy,
the barrel.
but heavy.
The barrels of the 13.7, 14.5 versus an SPR barrel, that's where the difference is. It's a thick boy.
Yeah, we're running the BA barrel, Ballistic Advantage. I keep saying BA, but Ballistic Advantage. SPR barrels, and they're heavy. They're thick.
Yeah.
Rifle link gas system, which is awesome because they're super soft.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like shooting a pillow on your shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's very soft. Love it. Fantastic. But there's some weight.
I don't know if you guys caught that, but we love the Mark 12.
For the 75th time.
Yeah, friggin' A. But yeah, the 13.7 and 14.5, you really can squeeze accuracy out of it, especially with the ballistic barrels. And we've even pushed them out to 800 yards. Now, understand... shooting that barrel length at 800, you're looking at a maybe 30 to 40% success rate, and you're kind of you might be hitting all around the target, but actually smacking steel on an IPSC target is about 40%.
I would say easy 40% right there. The other thing would be, like you said, how long do you want to carry it for? The Recce, per se, definition that we're kind of glimpsing in on here is definitely a lot easier to carry.
Yeah.
Can I do probably more with the Recce overall and all around? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I've ran my 13.9 in every course of fire that we've kind of set up in our open gym sessions that we run out here at JTAC.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are 50 yards and in. Sometimes we're even closer, sometimes further. But I've ran it pretty much in almost every situation and been successful with it.
Yeah.
Can you do that with the Mark 12? Yeah, but...
We tried it.
We did it. Was it as comfortable?
No. I mean, it was when I was laying down.
Yeah, it's great. Were we as fast with it?
No.
No?
No. Well, I mean, okay, if I was in the prone and I had to make shots at 130 yards.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, in terms of my follow-up shots, it was pretty quick.
Very, very quick.
But moving around, no.
So let's talk about that 130-yard distance, though, real quick, as far as the difference. So we're like 100, 130, 135 yards, roughly.
Right.
And we're putting them on 3-inch targets, right?
Right.
That's what we were doing that day?
Yeah.
So how easy was that? with a Mark 12.
Here's what the guys were saying during the running gun session. That's cheating. Yeah, exactly. You should have a tool that makes it easy.
Is there really a term of cheating though when it comes to that?
Yeah, no, there isn't.
You can't say that it's. Yeah, they think we're cheating because we're freaking kicking their butt in it with the Mark 12. But at the end of the day, it's not cheating.
Yeah.
Talking about grouping wise goes, out of the 13.7, going back into accuracy in comparison to two side by side with each other, the 13.7, 13.9, 14.5, on average with 77 grain, not quite as good.
Right.
That's obviously where that downrange accuracy kind of starts to slip a little bit versus the Mark 12. So you are sacrificing, you're gaining maneuverability, you're gaining ease of multiple different types of situations that you can engage with, but you are losing a slight little bit of accuracy. Is that accuracy something that most people are going to really care about? Probably not, because the gun will still shoot MOA, 1.5 MOA easily.
Unless it's Chris's M1A and then it shoots 1 MOA of man or whatever.
No, it's Honda Civic.
Yeah, friggin' minute of Honda Civic.
Minute of Honda Civic if you got an M1A. And you have so much recoil and muzzle blast.
Yeah, the scaffolding that we shoot off of shakes. Friggin' the 13.7, 14.5. The key is there is no do-it-all gun, and I think that's something that a lot of people are starting to figure out, even with kit. And that's something that we're going to do an episode about too. Is there's no do-it-all anything really.
100%. I've learned a lot about kit. Eric has graced me with so much knowledge and kit. My brain is exploding. Me coming from a little bit more of a precision world when it comes to shooting, we don't wear a lot of kit.
Maybe like a bag you put on your arm to rest your gun on.
Exactly. So if you want to talk about bags, I can. But my brain is overfilled on kit. That'll be a good episode.
Yeah, for real. Now, what is something, if I was to where do we zero our 13.7s, 14.5s and versus a Mark 12? Where would I zero that?
I think that's really up to debate depending on the individual and knowing your holds. Okay. Most of all of us that shoot around here, we are very, very common with a 50, 200 yard zero. Yeah. That is like our go-to. We went on the Mark 12, we went with a 100 yard zero. We went with a more traditional marksman style rifle zero, and did our dope charts up, our ballistic calculator, all that kind of good stuff, all the fun stuff, all the nerd stuff, based off of that 100 yard zero, and learned our mills as far as what we need to hold off of that. I feel like when you're talking about a marksman rifle, basing it off of that is a little easier, but you can still base it off the 50 yard zero. Yeah. It's just a matter of knowing what you're doing. I really don't think it's that big of a deal, right, is what a lot of people make it out, whether you do a 25 or whatever, 36 yard zero, whatever it may be. I like the 5200.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like it, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's what we do all of our stuff at, is at 5200. And it's personal preference. It really is. It's personal preference.
Yeah, it 100% is. I don't think there's a wrong answer to that, as long as you are, if you put, because this terminology, if you bad data, you're going to get, or crappy data, you're going to get bad results.
Yeah.
You're going to get crappy results.
Right.
So if you go with a 5,200 yard zero and you never confirm your 200, you just go to the range, you go to your indoor range, you go to your outdoor range, wherever it is, and let's just say all they have is 50 yards, and you shoot 50 yards out of your 10.5, and then you never go shoot that 10.5 at 200 yards and really confirm it. Because, I mean, we'll tell you, we've had actually some barrels that are massively different in velocities.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother episode, talking about barrel-wise goes. So if you don't go and confirm it, yeah, I zero my 10.5 at 50 yards. I zero my 11.5, 12.5, 13.9, all that at 50 yards. But I go back and I confirm all my 200, 300, 400, 500 holds, wise goes. Same exact thing that we did in the marksman rifle, the DMR SPR, right. Mark 12. We zeroed at 100, and then we set out there and what we do, we walked it all the way out. And eventually we got out to 800 yards and we realized, okay, well, things aren't necessarily lining up properly. We go back in and we kind of true it up, figure out where it needs to be.
Now, there is something that I will say about the about the Mark 12 is when you actually could hear that hit at distance. So say, for example, we like to go to the 500-yard bay. We like to shoot at the 500. When we're shooting that 13.7, that 13.9, and you hear the velocity impact on that steel, there is a significant difference between the SPR and the 13.7. And that's something that you also, depending on what your objective is and what you're trying to get out of that tool, velocity on the target, not just at the end of a barrel with a chrono, but at the target. What is that going to do? Is that important to you? And that's something that you might want to consider. And also, what are you trying to do with this tool? Are you trying to lay down? Are you going to be moving a lot? If you're moving a lot, then Mark 12 probably isn't for you. Or if you're trying to just, broaden your portfolio and just have different tools for the job.
Yeah. One of the things that we want to do, talking about that downrange energy that we didn't get a chance to do, just timing, and we'll probably revisit this, is putting those ballistics into ballistic gel or whatever further distance downrange. Being that we have that ability to do out to 500-600 yards and see what it does, and do it into whatever, and try to get some actual energy and see what the difference is between the bullets. So that'd be interesting to do one day.
Do you see the Mark 12 as a like a really decent hunting gun? Like if somebody wanted to use it for
I've
hunting?
actually used my Mark 12 a lot for coyote hunting over the years.
Okay.
I've had a few different Mark 12s. This current build that I have not hunted with it, but prior ones, that's actually what I originally built my Mark 12 was a coyote rifle. And I've shot coyotes out to roughly 400 yards. With that, I've actually taken a pig a little bit further beyond that. With it, so that's actually what mine was originally intended as far as set up for, was that, and it works extremely well. If we're talking about running pigs in a little bit closer quarters, I'm definitely going to grab the 13.7. 100%. If we're talking about on a UTV running around in the fields chasing some pigs down, I'm going to grab the 13.7. But if I'm set up in a blind,
Mark 12, baby, all day.
On a tripod, sitting there, calling them out or waiting until they come out. So
specifically, let's talk about real quick on your Mark 12, what type of setup do you have? I'll talk about my Mark 12. What glass am I running? What bipod? What suppressor you like to use? We've already talked about the barrel. And then we'll go into our specific setups for, you have a 13.7. I'll talk about my 13.9. And then we'll finish off with takeaways.
Cool. My Mark 12, it's not a true clone. I'm not a cloner.
Me neither.
But it's I try to get as close as I can with it, but at the end of the day, I really didn't care about cloning it. As far as glass on top, running a 2-10 Trijicon, mil reticle, front focal plane. Been fantastic. Absolutely love it. Can't find anything. I think it's Credo is what it's called, is the model on it. Credo. I am running the OG mounts, the arms mounts is what I'm running, 30 millimeter highs. It's sitting on top of the PRI, one-piece monolithical rail that kind of runs down. So I'm running the Mod Zero handguard with the rail that attaches all the way down that bridges the two upper receiver and the rail together. So I'm running those on there. Haven't found any issues with that stuff. It's been fantastic. Running a collapsible stock actually on mine. So I'm running a B5 SOP mod on the rear. Suppressor wise goes, I'm actually running an old school Gemtech that I've had for like 12 years. It's a direct thread can. Works great, no issues. Haven't had any accuracy issues out of it. Ran it for a long time. It's what I had laying around, and I tossed it on it. So I know it's not clone correct, so don't shoot me.
So I'm also running a Mark 12 Mod Zero. Roy has a Gen 2, I believe. I have a Gen 3.
Yes.
The Mod 1 was actually a Knights Armament build, but same thing, Ballistic Advantage barrel. We both have a Trijicon 2-10 Credo, so that way whenever we're doing communication and talking and shooting together as a team, it's the same reticle. So same dial, same reticle. For suppressors, I'm running a Yankee Hill Machine 30 cal resonator. I love it. And
let's talk about that can real quick.
Yeah.
Because there's been
wise goes.
Yeah, because there's been some people that don't necessarily think that we should be running that can.
Why?
I don't know. It works, right?
Yeah, they're a bunch of toads.
They're toads.
Yeah.
That's been a fantastic can, right?
It's been amazing. I have never had any bad POI shift. It works on 300 blackout. It works on all different kinds of things, and it's awesome. I didn't experience any problems with it.
It's by far great bang for your buck. I mean, it's been fantastic. I've witnessed standing right next to you or laying down on the line shooting next to you. No impact shifts or anything like that. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's just awesome. I also run through in a blackout through it, and it's super quiet. Cycle's great. Love YHM. Nothing but good things to say about them. As far as my rail, the only thing about the PRI that I didn't like is it took, I don't know, about 10,000 years because a couple of pilgrims were sailing it over on their ship, and it took, 6 months or something?
It did take a little bit to get it. That was the only downside. I don't think that was necessarily PRIs. I think it was just a fault of our natural environment right now.
Yeah.
When it comes to anything, everything is kind of hard to get. Yeah.
But yeah. So, I mean, it's a super... If you guys are able to get a PRI rail, if you are looking to do a Mark 12 build, do it. It's super rewarding. It's super cool. For my trigger, I run a Geisley trigger.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about SSAE. You're running that too?
Yep.
I'm running the exact same.
Yep.
Geisley, do something with your pins.
Yes. Yeah, they're walking out. We've had several walk out already. So, and then I am not running a adjustable stock. I'm running an old school M16 buffer tube stock. So, I love it. But that's my Mark 12 build. Going into my 13.9, I'm running Ballistic Advantage. No, I'm not. No, what am I running?
You're running a BA.
Yeah, I am
You're running a
Ballistic.
BA.
Yeah, 13.9.
Hansen profile.
That's what I said.
Yep, 13.9.
So 13.9, I've got the Knights 12-inch rail on there, which I'm actually about to swap out here soon, but also running a YHM can on it. ACOG, Trijicon ACOG. It's not the TA31. It's the one with an actual real reticle, not the frickin' one that has shapes in it.
It's a 3.5, right? Or 4 power.
It's a 4 power.
4 power,
yeah.
Yep.
And I'm running an RMR, Trijicon RMR on top. Love that. Also, like I said, I'm running a Cram Weapon Outfitters mount on it, which is lifting that optic up and bringing it back to help with that eye relief. And I love it. And I'm running a Velocity Systems trigger. So, love that thing. 3.5 pound drop in. Never had any issues. So.
Yeah. I am running, that's actually one of the only guns I don't have that does not actually have a Ballistic Advantage barrel in that one.
What?
I know, right? That's actually a Sons of Liberty Gunworks.
Oh, yeah.
13.7. Pin and weld with their chemo mount for the dead air. So I'm running a dead air Sandman K. Yeah, Sandman K, that's the short one. On there for suppressor. On top for glass, once again, EOTech Voodoo 1-8. Nervous habit, sorry. Voodoo 1-8 on top. Reptilia Corp mount sitting about 1.5 inches high there. And then a Hollison 509T closed emitter on top for dot. B5 SOP mod stock. Geisley SSA trigger in that. Trigger pins are not walking out of that one. Don't know why, but...
Witchcraft.
But pretty basic, straightforward setup. Running a rain... not a rain, cloud defense. Yeah, cloud defense rain light on it. It's working great.
Yeah, I mean, but they've both been running great. The biggest thing is identifying what it is that you're trying to achieve. So, I'll be doing an episode about One Warrior, One Sword here soon. But it's pretty much, look, if you can either be a collector, and if you're a collector, you're probably going to want to clone correct type everything. But if you are looking for tools and you want to expand your inventory, expand your toolbox, and have things that can do specific jobs and cheat, if you will, at the jobs that they do because they are built so well for that purpose, then start looking at building out your gun cabinet, right? So having a 13.9, having a Mark 12 type rifle or a DMR type rifle or an 11.5 for something that's a little bit more compact. These are the types of things that... we preach here. I preach it a lot, and not switching up platforms. So if I'm trying to be really good at something, and I am going from a SCAR to an AK to a Galil to, a frickin' musket, like, what am I doing? Am I really reaching my true potential for all the different tools that I have in my inventory, or am I giving my body shock and completely changing out, the ergonomics of every single thing that I'm using? So. You'll just never get as good as you can be if you constantly change things up.
Agreed, 100%. I've definitely experienced that quite a bit lately because I'm that guy that's changing my rifle every other week.
Well, you do have a gun shop, so it's kind of hard not to touch
it is hard not to, but I don't know. I get I got to slow down sometimes.
Yeah. But anyways, in closing, just want to say, go out there and train. If you're not going out and getting training, or you're not taking your tools that you built, it really doesn't matter. We see it all the time. We see guys that have some really nice gear and they have no clue of how to use their gear, and it's really eye-opening for a lot of them and exciting. But you have to go out and you have to use your gear, because you find out what works for you, or the guns that you thought that you liked just holding in the living room really aren't the guns that you really want to use, because it's not built for you, or it doesn't work for you when you're actually on the range training. So go out there, get training. If you want to get training and you're in the Florida area and you're a modern day shooter, check out JTAC Ranch. Also check out AAA Gun and Ammo, as well as Ballistic Advantage, and check out our website, Barrel and Hatchet. Subscribe to this channel. Click that stupid bell for the notification so you can be annoyed by every time we post something. And my name's Eric. We had Roy on. Thanks for coming.
I appreciate it.
And we'll see y'all later.